Hey guys, cool. We are here in Maple Valley at Bees in the Burbs. If you have not heard of them, they are an amazing company that's been here for about 14, 15 years. And they are bee experts. So we have Natalie here with us.
Hi.
And she is the owner of the company. And we're going to interview her and ask her a couple questions about bees. So let's start with the basics. Bees and honey.
Yes.
So how does that process work? How long does it take to go from the hive to what we're standing next to here in the store?
Yeah, so it can depend on like the years of the hive, right? So a first year hive, it can sometimes either produce a lot of honey or not so much. It depends, because usually they're spending that first couple of years building their reserves because they need to survive the winter off their own honey, right? So then usually the next year, that's when we start to get some excess. And it can happen within a matter of a month, especially when blackberry's blooming, because we all know we have a lot of blackberry here.
Yeah.
So they'll harvest that and they'll collect the pollen, the nectar. The pollen is the healthy part, the nectar is the sweet part of the honey. And so when they, so they'll primarily pollinate everything around the area, and yeah, usually about a month would take for our first harvest of that, and then we can keep going, and usually they're harvesting all throughout, usually end of May throughout the end of August and going into September. September is actually National Honey Month.
And so that's what I love learning about your guys' company, is that you guys have a really great educational side of your business, that you help new beekeepers, new people that want to be interested in keeping their own bees. And so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so kind of the first step is taking a class. We offer classes usually around the winter month, because that's when the bees are usually dormant and there's not a lot of activity outside of that. So usually we have a teacher from Greenwood College, Danny. He is fantastic, super knowledgeable, and we do a beekeeper 101 and 201 classes. And that kind of, it gives you that really basic knowledge to be able to start. And then typically after a class, we have a nice rush of people in the store buying all the equipment and putting their deposit down for the actual bees. Yep. And then April to May is when the bees are here and they're ready to go. So you have that time to kind of paint your hive, get it all cute, get it all ready, place it on the part of the property that you want your bees to be at. And then you're introducing your bees usually around April into that part.
Okay, so I love the educational side. Yeah. So I'm the new beekeeper, and I've taken my 101 class, I've taken my 201 class, and now I'm ready to start raising my own bees.
Yeah.
What are the things I need to get?
So first of all, here's some of the equipment that we would encourage for you to get. These are a beekeeper's golden tools.
Okay.
These are what every beekeeper has in their pocket. This is a hive tool. This is what you're using to be able to maneuver through the frames and be able to grab the frames out of the hive. Everything is sticky. So this thing is great. It has like a little sharp edge here. We call it a J hook because this helps pry up a frame out of the hive.
Cool.
And it's just an all-purpose easy tool. And then a bee brush, because the bees are always everywhere. In your face, on the frames, on your hands, getting all up in your face.
Yeah.
So this is a perfect tool just to be able to maneuver them. It's very soft. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's a very soft material, so that they definitely aren't bothered by it at all. So this helps them get out of your way when you're trying to work. And then we all know the smoker.
Yes, the classic smoker.
Exactly. So usually using very like dry material. Quite often when we're up in Great Water, we're just grabbing vegetation off the ground.
Okay.
Throwing it in here. We also have like little smoker pellets, scented. No, they don't need hickory or anything like that.
Okay.
So we put that in here, and then you just want to get a good smoke going in here. And then this just calms them down. It kind of triggers a fight or flight response into more of the flight response instead of fight. So they're just more, they're trying to kind of maneuver their own area because they're distracted by the smoke and not focused on you.
Okay.
But you're only using a very small amount, so it's not like they're thinking there's a wildfire that they need to like abort mission, you know, and get out of there. It's more just like they're kind of like trying to figure out, and they're focused on that rather than on you. So it kind of gets them out of your way.
And so there's no magic to the type of smoke?
No, there's nothing that's really gonna, I mean, you just don't want anything that's super irritant.
Okay.
More for you. egg cartons. We actually use egg cartons or that kind of like recycled cardboard material.
Love it.
Really, cardboard too. It's just really great
Cool.
for staying smoky.
Yeah.
We actually have a sign on the back of our truck that says "We be smoking," because my dad used to be going from different locations of the hives, and we would just leave the smoker running, but it would be puffing a little cloud, and we would call him, "Your truck's on fire!" And it's like, no. So he got this little sign, and we don't really use it for that anymore, so people get really confused as why, like, are they stoners? I don't know, but yeah.
I love it.
So, and then obviously, you want the protection. You want the gear. So a bee suit, oftentimes people are like, oh, I don't need it. I'm excited about like being one with the bees. It's like, then they get stung once and then they're like, I think I need a bee suit. We're like, yes, you do. Yeah. So it's just best to start that way, right? And then you can get more comfortable and maybe take off gloves and work with your hands or, you know, but definitely just start with the gear. Start with the full protection. And then you're gonna want your actual hive, right? So this is a little 3D print, so it's a little bit bigger than this, more about this size. But you typically, in Washington state, different states depend on the climate, but in Washington you want what are called deeps or brood box. There's definitely different names you'll see online. But this is like the foundation, this is their home. And this is what you want to have built up before you start putting extra. And then these are what are called frames.
Okay.
This is what they're building their honey, their eggs and everything on there. And then there's a bottom board. This is obviously the base, keep it all together. So we get you a bottom board. This is a little entrance reducer, which is adorable, but that's usually a good idea for if you're needing to be able to move your hives or it's like a mouse guard. There's different purposes for that one. And so you have your 2 deeps, and we encourage everyone to start with 2 deeps no matter what. You're gonna want 2 deeps because the winters are longer here and they need more reserve. And then after that, this is the honey super. So this is all, this is where you're getting your extra honey, and this is smaller for the sole purpose of weight. Big beekeepers will use deeps for their honey collection because they want more honey per box, and then they've got tools to be able to lift these boxes.
Okay.
But us backyard beekeepers don't have these big tools, and so we're not lifting, 100-pound boxes.
Okay.
So these are gonna be more around like 40 to 50 pounds.
Cool.
Right? So still heavy, but not as heavy as like a full deep of honey.
Right.
And then you'll often see sometimes people stack these supers up really, really high. You'll see tall hives. It's usually not the most efficient way. Usually you want to cycle about 3 of these.
Okay.
If you're having a really high producing hive.
Cool.
But usually about 1 or 2 is average for that.
Awesome.
And then you get your lid, all of that, and that is pretty much your perfect standard starter hive. There is another piece that usually goes here. This is called the queen excluder, which would keep it so there's no, the queen isn't coming up here and laying eggs. That's why this is always 100% honey. So we keep the queen down below.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so real quick overview.
Yes.
These 2 layers
Yes.
are not gonna carry honey.
They will carry honey, but not for human consumption.
Okay.
It's gonna be, because they eat honey.
Okay.
That's their food too.
Yep.
But they will always make more than they need, and that's why bees swarm,
Okay.
is because they'll fill it all with honey, and then they're like, oh, we're out of space, so we're gonna go leave and find somewhere else to make honey.
Okay.
So that's why we do this, the bee movie. They're like, you're taking our food. It's like, they will continue to make it, right? So so that's why this is gonna have honey, but it's also gonna have eggs. It's gonna have pollen. It's gonna have other things to help be able to sustain them through the winter.
Makes sense. And then this top one is gonna exclude the queen, so she can't get up here to lay eggs.
Correct.
So that'll be a cleaner honey for human consumption.
Yeah, exactly. 100% just honey.
And what is that normal startup cost gonna range a new beekeeper?
About $1,000 for your first hive. That's gonna be though all of this, right?
Yeah.
And then the bees themselves too.
Okay.
And then probably, an additional 500 to 600 for more after that per hive.
Okay.
And it can very much vary depending on how extensive you want to go with the material.
And are there certain breeds of bees that you guys specifically sell or that thrive more in the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, so there's different types of honeybees. There's Italians, Cornelians, there's Russians, and then there's African as well. And the African bees, there's kind of a misconception of them being like a killer bee.
Right.
But there is a species of African honeybees, and they are more aggressive. But actually industrial beekeepers like them because they work very hard.
Okay. Yeah.
But they're not very nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then there's Russian, Cornelian, and Italians are kind of more of your backyard beekeepers. The Russian bees can be a little bit more aggressive too, not as much as the African bees though. And then, yeah, Italian Cornelians is usually hybrid species, which we work with the most.
Okay. And so that if I'm coming to you guys, that's probably what I'm the kind of.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then we also work with our beekeeper that does Italian Cornelian queens that have a new genetic modification for mite prevention, which is our biggest killer of bees. You know, colony collapse is because of mites.
Yeah.
And by having these queens with these new genetics is helping prevent that, and we're noticing an extreme difference, and it is helping a lot. So we're really happy with that. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about what you have here.
Yes, so this is basically where the honey starts. This is the frame, this is what we pull out of the hive. This is what's called the capping. So this is how you know that the honey is done, it's ready to go. So we take a nice hot knife, we cut this off, we spin it, and then it becomes this honey. So from the hive to the bottle.
So when you're talking about that tool that had a little J hook on it, that's what hooks onto this, pulls it out?
Exactly.
Okay.
So it helps it so that, because this, all this like reddish stuff is called propolis.
Okay.
And that's like bee glue. It holds the hive together. And so we have to be able to pry that off because it's pretty, it's stronger than super glue.
So right now this is frozen.
Correct.
To keep it from.
Yeah, and then just in case, you know, since it's such a natural process, we will freeze it to make sure that there's nothing, you know, no little bugs or anything that you can't see. So we did that
clean.
before we cut the comb. So this is what we'll do. This is specifically a frame for honeycomb. There's nothing in the middle here, so we can cut this out and you can just eat this. We actually have people that will buy this and just
Wow.
eat it.
It smells so good in here.
I know, right? All right.
And then tell us about from this to bottle, and then what flavors you have, how you come to those flavor, how you get those flavor profiles.
So each type is just based off of the different flowers that the bees are pollinating.
Okay.
So as you can kind of see, there's like a color range. That's going to be based off of the pollen and the nectar from each flower. The pollen is kind of what impacts the color, and the nectar impacts the flavor. Like you can see buckwheat, super, super dark.
Yeah.
And then you go wildflower can range, you know, time of year, each season, totally just depends on what's blooming and where the hives are. And then you get some that are really light, typically fireweed can sometimes even be crystal clear.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like yesterday we went to the Enumclaw Plateau Farmers Market, because you guys are big on farmers markets, right?
Yes.
And we taste tested, I think 6 different
honeys.
It was real good.
Yeah.
The darker one was almost like a molasses type, almost like a syrup.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and Chase said he puts it in his coffee.
Yes. Yeah, so there are some that we like to recommend for like pairings, right? So buckwheat is really good in dark coffee. I've had people buy it even to make their own homemade beer. And it's really good for like barbecue sauces, marinades, things like that. And like each type, I like to recommend raspberry for tea. Green tea works really well for a tea sweetener because it's not too strong in flavor where it changes the tea, but it's a really good sweetener.
Yeah.
Wildflower is perfect all-purpose for cooking. And then it goes on like radish I like for cooking as well because it's not too strong of a flavor but it has even a little bit tangy aftertaste. So I like to use it like I made Brussels sprouts, brown butter, you know, and the radish honey. So good. So.
Yeah, because you know, when I go into a store, I just see honey. You just think it's like one size fits all, right? But you have all this variety here with different flavor profiles, almost like a winery.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's got tasting notes, and it's really, really cool.
That's what I love is that it's all done by the bees.
Yeah.
We don't do anything other than place them. You know, they're the ones that flavor it. They're the ones that do like it's so cool that it's all by the bees, and then we don't have to add any flavoring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's so cool. We absolutely love what you guys are doing here. We're so grateful to have you as a local company. We're excited to see you continue to blossom.
Yay! Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so one last question here for our viewers. So where can you be found currently?
Yeah.
And where do you kind of see this going?
So we have our store here in Maple Valley, just outside on the way to Black Diamond. We also do a lot of farmers markets in the area. We do Enumclaw, Maple Valley, Issaquah. We do about 9. And then we do have an online store at our website, beesintheburbs.com. And then we are having dreams of being able to expand. We're looking into the Enumclaw area. Our store is fantastic. We've been here for so long, but you know, in good news, we've grown.
Yeah.
And so we're hoping to be able to expand in the future and have a nice storefront and a farm property and be able to bring the business out to more people. So
I love that.
Yeah.
And we, of course, are partial to you coming to Enumclaw. So, yeah. Thank you for your time today. We really appreciate it. What a cool operation you have here.
Thank you so much.
Yes, yes.